Now, for day two, our official materials for day two, okay, we'll start off with level 2.3. So, so for this part, it is a little bit more complicated because the first number right here, it's no longer just one, or the first item that you see is no longer just x squared. Because if it's just x squared, we can make it very easy. We can start with the x in the parentheses, okay? And now we will say, yeah, it's a little bit more challenging because we think about, and if it's a prime number, that's great. Like for example, if it's 3, that's wonderful because it has to be 3x times x. There's no other option. Okay, but if you've got some numbers like 4, like number 14 right here, like there's a 4 right there, that opens up the possibility because it can be 4x times x. That would give you 4x squared. Or you can also have 2x and 2x, and that could also give you 4x squared. So we have to judge which one is the possible choice. Now, and this is where the trial and error method would really shine. And that's what I do. That's what a lot of people would do. Can you still use a cross method? Yes, you could, but that could be somewhat problematic for some questions. And I could tell you that when you look at number 12 in a moment, you can see some major obstacle in figuring out what to do. Okay, so we'll use the cross method for a few first, and then we'll see how well it could help us. Okay, so again, we do the cross, right? The top will be a times c. A is 3, c is -5, so it's actually -15 for a times c. And then we have -2. So we say, all right, what two numbers? We give you -15 when they multiply together and add up to -2. And I think that's a very easy choice. It's got to be -5 and 3. So we can break down this middle term into -5x plus 3x. Okay. And then we would go ahead and factor out the common factor. And you can see that the 3x minus 5 is a common factor. And then you are left with x plus 1. And again, that's consider this as a little parentheses with the implicit 1 right there, so you will not miss out the 1. So cross method works pretty well in this case. If the numbers are small, especially if the a and c, they produce a small number, so that works pretty well. Let's go ahead, change the gear to number 10. All right, if you use the cross method, then we say, yeah, 3 times 4 will give you 12, sorry, will give you 12. And then two numbers would also add up to -8. And we say, oh, that's easy. That's got to be -6 and -2. So you can see the practice right here that you are really, you have to be really strong in finding out how to come up with number combinations, like two numbers that can add up to -8 and multiply to 12, which is really similar to your trial and error method. Okay, so I'm going to break down the -8x into, all right, into -6x minus 2x. And then we're going to go ahead and factor out by grouping. So here we go. And then we factor out by grouping again. Okay, be careful with the minus right here because you have to have a minus right here in order to produce a plus originally. You can see the common factor, which is 3x minus 2. I mean, the x minus 2 is the common factor, and then you have 3x minus 2 left behind. So again, cross method works pretty well. Okay, and then over here, now over here, I think with its I'm going to show you both cross method and the trial and error method. Okay, so you have a times c, which is 10, and then b is 11. So I think that's also very straightforward. and we say 2x squared plus 10x plus x plus 5. You factor out the 2x from the first two terms. You've got x plus 5. And then you have another x plus 5 right here. So x plus 5 is the common factor right here. Okay. And what's left is 2x and then plus 1. Okay. So that's it. All right, now, and then as I promised, I will also show you the trial and error method. So let me go ahead and delete this first, okay? Now, how do I do the cross method? I mean, sorry, the trial and error. So we need some clues, and we need some clues to tell us something definitely true, all right, without a doubt. And we say, well, what's without a doubt? The 2x squared. Okay, 2 is a prime number, which is lovely because it's got to be 2x times x. Now, can we change the order of x and then 2x afterwards? Sure, that's not a big deal, but we know for sure. That it's going to be 2x times x, okay? Now, and then you also look at these two signs. They are both pluses. That means these are going to be plus signs inside the parentheses. The reason why we can tell this for sure is because you have to have two positive numbers to get us a positive product right here, right? And also, or now the other option is both being negative. But if both are being negative, then this sign will not be a plus. So that's how we know, okay, that we are thinking ahead with the foiling process, basically, okay? And then now, of course, the question is, which one, where do we put the 5? Is it 5 here and 1 over here, or the other way around? Is it 1 here and 5 here? So to answer this question, that would depend on how good you are in terms of foiling. And if you are good with foiling, then you understand that we'll do the first, right? And then the outside and the inside and then the last. Now, the outside and the inside are the two terms that would give us the 11x. So we say, well, let's go ahead and think about it. The outside would give us, let me use a different color. The outside would give us 10x right here. And then we have x, and they're both positive, and they would add together. And that's great because that's how we have 11x. So that's how we know it is, these are the factors here, okay? And now if you say I accidentally put the 5 right here and 1 there first, what would the outcome be like? And we say, oh, no problem. Let's go ahead and take a look. So you still consider the outside and the inside right here. The outside would be 2x. The inside would be 5x. And they're both positive, so you add them together, which would get you 7x. Would it work? We say nope, because we are looking at a total of 11x. So that's how we know. All right, it doesn't work like this, 5 and 1. We've got to change the location, change the placement of these two numbers so that we will have the proper factors, okay, for the quadratic trinomial here, okay? So that's the trial and error method. And as you can see, it really depends on how good you are in terms of the foiling. And when we say trial and error, we really do have to try. And if it's wrong, it's wrong. It doesn't matter. Okay. Now, and for number 12, you can really see the benefit of trial and error because now think about this. If you do A times C, the first challenge would be like, oh, what's 28 times 7? This is a big number and you don't have a calculator. I don't have a calculator. I mean, I can do it by hand. Okay, that would be 196. Okay, sorry, 196 right here. Okay, and I know that because in my mind I did this, right? I'm like, oh yeah, 140 and then 56 right there. So therefore it's 196. Okay, so that's like, okay, we good. And then you have 53. And now can you see the problem here? You have to come up with two numbers. that would multiply to get you 196, and there's just so many choices out there. And yet you have to add them up to get you 53. And again, there's so many choices out there, and that's going to make people faint. So in this case, I am going to choose the trial and error method because we got a prime number 7 right there. So it's got to be 7x times x. So now you think about how do we get 28? And we do have a lot of choices. We do. You can think about 1 times 28. You can think of 2 times 14. You can think of 7 times 4, right? 4 times 7, okay? And I think that's probably it. Okay, we have 3 sets of numbers, and we're like, oh, which one could it be? Okay, and it's really about how fast you are trying it, how fast you are making decisions, basically. You say, oh, they're both pluses. You know what that means? That means we know they're both pluses in the parentheses as well. Okay, and then we say, all right, let's start playing with numbers here. Is this possible? Okay, so in your mind, you start thinking about, okay, I'm doing foiling right here. And you say, oh, that is no way to be possible because 28 times 7, it's going to be a huge number. That's bigger than 100. And we just want 53, That's not going to work. Well, would it be the problem of the placement? Can we change the placement a little bit? And we say, well, what's the outer and inner together? We say, well, that's going to be 7x, that's going to be 28x, and that only gives us 35x. Sorry, we need 53, not 35, so that doesn't work either. So that's how we say, well, 1 and 28, not going to work. Now, it seems like a lengthy process, but the more you do, you will get you can see a pattern, you can see which one to try that would best fit your need. Like, for example, 2 and 14, would I put a 14 right here and 2 right here? I'll be like, no, of course not. That's just insane because that's not going to give us 53x, And what about the other way around? Is it possible to do it here? And we'd say, well, that seems impossible too, because you get 14x and 14x, that would give us 28x only, not 53. So therefore, not going to be 14 and 2. So that brings us to our final choice, 4 and 7. Okay, and we say, would that work now? Okay, that is 49x, and that's 4x, and 49x plus 4x is indeed 53x. So that's how we figure out, okay? And again, I'm showing the thought process. It does look like it's pretty lengthy, but I would tell you, I could guarantee you the cross method, it's going to be even lengthier than what we have just gone through here in the video. So, so number 12, okay, try to use a trial and error, and we should always use trial and error. Yeah, so if you have something like this, we're like, that's difficult because you got 1 and 15, you get 5 and 3, you have 2 sets of numbers to choose. In addition, you have negative and negative, which means that it's going to be a plus and minus combination. It has to be, because a positive number times a negative number, that's how you get a -6. Okay. So, well, what's the process here? What are the factors here? So we're just going to try, just going to try, and we just try something that makes somewhat sense. So now I'm going to tell you that my gut tells me this. Okay. If you say, which part of your gut tells you this, then I would say, well, actually, in this case, I should refrain from putting signs here because the sign does matter, depending on which one has a positive and which one has a negative. And then my gut tells me this, okay? So my gut tells me that 5x times 3x would give us 15x squared. My gut tells me that 1 and 6 would be the number pair to get us 6. And because of this, I also know what my gut tells me that this is how we have the sign. And you're like, wait, hold on. How do you know? How do you just know? Now, this is the mental math part. This is negative 30x, right? And that is positive 3x. And what is negative 30x plus 3x? Negative 27x. So when I was considering all these number choices, in my head, I was already processing some mental math like, let me see, let me just start playing with numbers, okay? And I'm going to emphasize the word play right here because, yeah, if you think about playing with numbers, that would work better. If you don't think about playing, if you're not considering possibilities, that is just going to make the whole process a lot harder. Now, again, if you want to use cross method, I would just wish you good luck because it's going to take you some time. Okay. So I would suggest you to just get yourself some time today to practice the trial and error, and then things will get better. Okay, things will get better. Yeah, if you have more practice. If you don't practice, I'm just sorry. Doesn't work like this. Okay, so I'm sorry. Now, this is how my gut tells me that 4x squared, it's not 2 times 2, it's going to be 4x times x. And if you're wondering, like, how? Just how do you know? How do you know the sign as well? Well, I know it's a combination of plus and minus because of the minus and minus right here. And I know that it's going to be 5 and 5 and not 21 and 5 because, again, I'm advancing myself with mental math. This is minus 20x. This is plus 5x. Minus 20x plus 5x, negative 15x. Okay, so now I always tell people that I'm not smart at all. Okay, all you can see right here, it's totally from daily practice. Practicing a lot, playing with numbers, and you will get there too. Okay, so these six will be the beginning set of the problems. Now, the next video will go through some other slightly more complicated stuff that we'll see just a moment right here, because things do get a bit more challenging, just a little bit more challenging, okay? But it's fine, okay? So let's go ahead and pause right here and go to the next video, okay?